Hey everyone, One Big Boss here. Sorry for the delay and everything, but I was pretty sick for a while and I didn't have much of a voice. It's still not back that well as you can hear. But I'm back, and so this week for the final review of 2011, we're going to be looking at the Die Hard Trilogy for the PlayStation 1. This is a great game to end the year with, honestly. Do a little review, end the year right, have a few laughs. Released on August 20th, 1996. Wow, that really makes me feel old right now. Die Hard Trilogy was developed by Probe Entertainment, and at the time, were known for licensing great games, much like X-Men Children of the Atom, Bust-a-Move 2 Arcade Edition, Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, and Alien 3. The game itself was banned in Germany because of the level of violence. It's Die Hard, so of course it's going to be violent. But it was the third installment of the game that made this pretty violent. Due to you running over innocent people and blood splattering all over the windshield, apparently that was considered really violent back then. These days, it's all the rage to do with the Saints Row games and the GTA games. Later, the game was made for the Sega Saturn and the PC. A Nintendo 64 version was planned, but sadly it was cancelled at the end. The story is based off the 3 Die Hard films. Essentially, you are playing the movie. So if you have seen the movies, you get the plot. But in case you haven't, Die Hard 1 takes New York cop John McClane to LA to meet his wife who works for Nakatomi Corporation. And then terrorists end up invading, and it's up to John McClane to play hero. Really, it's the last thing this man wants to do on his Christmas vacation. Die Hard 2, Die Harder, takes place a few years after the first Die Hard film. John McClane is stuck at an airport on Christmas Eve waiting for his wife's plane to arrive. Unfortunately, terrorists have other plans and take control of the airport. Now it's up to McClane again to play hero and save his wife's plane before it crashes into the Potomac River. How does the same thing happen to the same guy twice?
Okay, this is gonna get bumpy!
Die Hard 3, or Die Hard with a Vengeance, takes place 5 years after the events of Die Hard 2, Die Harder. In this one, a criminal mastermind wants to play a game, Simon Says, with John McClane. And it's up to John McClane and, of course, his new partner, Samuel L. Jackson, to drive around New York City and collect all the bombs before they go off. Seems pretty simple, right? As you've seen from the clips before, each game has a various different game type. Die Hard 1 starts off as a third-person view with you playing as McClane, starting off in the basement, which is different because he didn't start, well, parking lot, but he didn't start in the parking lot in the first movie. Anyway, this was my favorite mode to play as because what you did was, this was pretty damn close to what you've done in any of the movies. You go around, kill the terrorists, save the hostages. You have various weapons you can find throughout the levels. You can also get grenades. You have a health bar. It's actually the lieutenant shield for the NYPD. So yeah, this mode was pretty challenging. Despite some problems with it that I did have, it's still my favorite mode to play out of the trilogy. There was a total of 19 or 20 levels if I remember correctly. And also you have a helpful save system because this game gets pretty brutal at times. Also, after a certain point, you'll unlock a bonus mode where you escort the hostages around the rooftop to the helicopter while shooting all the terrorists on sight. This is a great way to gain extra weapons and grenades throughout the level, but it's also a bad thing too because you're gonna lose a lot of life. I mean, they have life stored around areas here and everything, and other hostages you can save to earn extra lives, which you will need. But yeah, this is kind of like a double-edged sword here. This little bonus round. Die Hard 2, Die Harder, is an on-rails shooter-type game where McClane has to stop the terrorists that have invaded the airport and various other areas. If you've ever played Virtual Cop or the Lethal Enforcers, you pretty much know how this game style plays out. You don't see your character, all the enemies are coming at you and you do whatever you can to shoot them. Killing enemies will have them drop grenades or various guns. Also, by destroying the area, you'll unlock health within the sword machines, or like I said, you'll find guns off of terrorists. And oh yeah, and avoid shooting the innocents. It's actually pretty tough not to in this game because they seem to be everywhere, and the terrorists actually use them as shields. Also, there was a light gun to be used for it, but unfortunately, the PlayStation version was the only one the light gun didn't work for. The Sega Saturn one and PC did, of course, though. In Die Hard 3, or Die Hard with a Vengeance, the path to revenge leads straight to John McClane, who is driving like a typical true New Yorker and is tasked with defusing bombs around the city. This sadly was my least favorite level in the game. Controlling was pretty rough. It wasn't that easy of a time playing it, but it did stay true to the story because there was a lot of driving in the third Die Hard movie. Okay, I got some bad things to say about this game, but I'll start off with the good. The good about it? You know, I would have loved for Bruce Willis to have come and provided his voice for his most iconic role ever, but the guy doing McClane's voice in this game, you know, he did a pretty good job at imitating Willis's style, the way he approaches things, the one-liners. Not exactly the best, but, you know, given the time that this was made, and how voices were being put into video games and stuff, we should be thankful we got who we did. Also, the game itself is just amazing and fun. It's one of those games you can just keep going back and playing over and over. It's like a rainy day or you don't know what game to play, pop this game in, because you're gonna have fun playing it regardless. Music wasn't too bad. I thought it fit pretty well with the scenarios of each game. Also, the sound wasn't too bad either. The guns sounded pretty good. The people dying was, you know, it was kind of cheesy, but it was still pretty good. There really wasn't much else really I liked about this game. It's really great to play. Like, just keep going back and playing it every so often. Like, I'm not saying like that it has a lot of replay value. Well, maybe it does. We'll get to that in a moment. But literally, this game I really liked, especially the first game, the first Die Hard movie. It's my favorite movie of all time, so of course the mode was my favorite to play, and it just didn't seem to get old. I mean, like, yeah, a lot of the levels look the same, it seems repetitive to other people, but to me, I really liked it. I don't see it becoming repetitive. Now, sadly, this game had its problems. I'll start off with the first Die Hard. First off, controlling is a bit loose and difficult. There seems to be a delay when you let go of the buttons or dodge and attack and stuff. It just seems like when you press it, it takes a couple of seconds for it to react. Or you have no control over McClane when he jumps. And he jumps really high, and it's very an unstable kind of controlling. Almost like he's not wearing shoes and running over glass and... Oh, yeah. Second off, the hostages are really, really stupid. They get in the way half the time, and they get killed. I mean, I get Ellis's death and all. You know, he had to be killed, but I kind of killed one too many hostages while playing this game. It's probably not a good thing. I got a knack for murder, and that doesn't seem good. Second off, if you got too far off from the targets you were shooting at, you were blinded and couldn't see them, but they could still shoot at you, and you could lose a life. And honestly, life was drained off you too easily in this game, in my opinion, and you only have 2 lives. You get extra lives by saving terrorists, well, not terrorists, hostages that are being held captive and about to be executed. Sometimes they're really hard to find, but you want those extra lives. Now for Die Hard 2. The same controlling problem happened here as well. I felt the controls to be too loose when it came to aiming and shooting. I mean, my god, I swear I would hit... I would shoot these terrorists and they didn't even get hit. Or the hostages would get in the way and I would shoot them and they would die in one hit. There was always way too many hostages in the area when you were trying to shoot the bad guys. I mean, like I said, if you played Virtual Cop or Lethal Enforcers, you didn't have nearly as many innocent people running around the screen or popping up in the screen and saying, "Help me!" or whatever. You know, and the fact that some of the terrorists were so far off in the background, it was hard to tell whether some were terrorists or hostages, because the circles, the crosshairs would line up on only like one target or two, and there's another terrorist or another one that you can't tell because there's too many people running in the way. Like right here, I mean, I was lucky enough to kill that guy without killing the hostages, so, you know, kudos for me. It was really hard when like I said, when the people went further off the screen. It's what made this level really difficult and not my favorite rail shooter, I'll tell you that much. Now, for the third level, Die Hard 3, I honestly couldn't stand this game. The controlling was horrible, and the guy who sounds like Samuel L. Jackson failed horribly. I mean, he doesn't even sound like him. And he gives you directions at the last second, so half the time you miss the street you're supposed to turn down. Like, literally, right when you're supposed to turn, he tells you, and controlling is hard. Braking in this is hard. I mean, he's just as bad as the GPS on my phone. I mean, and the turbo boost, my god, were a nightmare. You couldn't control the car at all if you got a turbo boost. It wasn't good, and like people always got in the way. I mean, like, they obviously see you coming and they're still walking out in the middle of the street. Plus, you crash into cars. I don't know. I just really didn't like this game at all. I mean, I've never even beaten this one. I beat the first two, but I didn't beat this one at all because I got fed up with it. It was that bad. So, in the end, is this game worth, taking a shot at? Being blown up, pissed off, and given one massive headache? Hell yeah, it is. Despite some rough controlling in the levels, the game is still a joy to pop in and play from time to time. Despite its problems, it's, scored high on the ranking systems, and honestly, it had to be one of the best looking early PlayStation games at the time. Crude by today's standards, but I don't really care. It's just a great game. It's something, I mean, yeah, you get pissed off at, but at the same time, you gotta enjoy it. It's still remarkable and, a classic. It became a greatest hits, too, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, that says something right there. Like I said, I don't care if it hasn't aged well or if it's crude by today's standards. In McLean, we trust. Alright everybody, that does it for this episode, and the final one for 2011. Thanks for watching everyone. I just want to say thanks to my crew for helping me out, and all my followers who watch and subscribe to this channel. I thank you all for keeping this fun and interesting to do, because I need the support, because it's good for me, and, it's always great to hear feedback from everybody. So, with that all said and done, I'll be back next year. We'll be reviewing Bleach Soul Resurrection for the PlayStation 3. So, everyone, have a safe and happy New Year. And I mean that. It's going to be very wild and crazy on New Year's Eve, so, if you're out with your friends, everybody please watch out for one another and be safe. I will return in 2012. See y'all next time. Happy New Year's, everybody.